Innovative.
I'm Cool Ass Cam, the coolest motherfucker on the planet. And today I'm here with the homies and we want to talk some shit and laugh.
Yeah.
Come on, Reds.
He was like, he covered his head and shit.
That being said, make sure you tap in with our website, www.theinnovativeculture.com. While you're at it, follow us on Instagram at innovative.culture and subscribe to our YouTube at youtube.com/innovativeculture.
Yeah.
Who I got in the building with me today?
Oh, yeah.
Go first.
Why you do that?
I'm going to let the guest go
No,
first.
we go first and we introduce the guest.
Well, it's Tony Grams. Follow me on IG at Tony Grams, TONY_TGRAMS. Excuse me. Fucked up for the first time.
What?
Yeah.
Tony messed up? Da-da-da.
It'll never happen.
That's okay, because there's nobody come to see you, Otis. But you already know the vibe. It's your favorite high. It's the China White in the motherfucking building. Back as life has been lifing, but I am still alive. So I appreciate those who have been asking if I was okay. It was 0 people, but I'm okay. And today we have one of my favorite people in the building, and we'll just go ahead and have her introduce herself. Howdy!
Hey, how's it going? My life is life-y right now. What did I do to deserve this? My name is
it won't stop. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
I go by Taylor Lindsey 323. I'm here.
Hey.
I'm here. We're gonna talk about some things.
Talk about a lot of things.
And I'm an entrepreneur. I am an entertainer. Ooh, entertainer. I'm sorry.
No,
Entertainer.
it's too late. There's no going back. She said she's an entertainer.
I'm an entertainer.
All on that. All on that.
And I am on all platforms.
Tainting.
Yeah, so my goodness. Well, thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
Gotta tap
You're
that
so
taint.
knowledgeable. I love when you're here because I'm always like, keep talking. What else do you know?
Oh, wow.
I love it. I think I like listening to other people and what they go through and experience in life. That's how you learn different things.
Yes.
You feel me? And I've learned a lot from you.
I appreciate
since I've
it.
known you. So
How's that maca root working for you? I must have mentioned it on 5 different episodes. How's that maca root going?
But yeah, life has been lifing. I don't know about y'all, but life has been lifing for me. This is why I look like this right now.
You like a Marvel character when they just be in regular, when they out their costume.
That is true. They
And
do
all
that.
the movies, they just wear
All
the
in
low hat,
disguise,
the
they
hoodie,
do.
Yes.
and a
Oh,
flannel
shit.
or a hoodie, and they just walk around
First
the
off,
streets.
Yes.
Shout out to my company, Elite Enterprises. Sorry, I overskipped you guys, but we do it all. Hats, shirts, your logo, a made up logo, whatever you want to see, we do it.
Right on. Embroidery and everything?
Yeah,
There you
embroidery
go.
and vinyl, press vinyl. That's why life has been lifing. I don't know what's going on, but I love it. Everybody's been putting in mass orders, like huge orders, small orders, because we take orders from like, if you just want one shirt,
Right.
just for you, we'll do that for you too. But then we've also have people who come in and order 100 things at a time, 100 plus sometimes.
Damn.
Cheer teams, schools, you know what I mean? Baseball teams, basketball teams, like we be doing the damn thing, and I'm tired, Hoppo.
I get that.
I'm tired.
I get that.
Along with regular life. And this flu shit, why is everybody still sick?
Hella sick
it's
because
the
it's all
season.
mutated. But I just want to say, if you find yourself in a point where you're quoting a color purple in your real life, are you okay? No.
It's my grandma's favorite movie. I would
know.
never let
Like-
go.
But if you're quoting a color
She
purple
was
at
doing
any
it.
moment in your
Never.
life, are you okay? 'Cause I know what I've been fighting all my life. I just try not to say that.
Dude.
I try to say that maybe every 3
And
months.
those 2 fingers just.
I say it at least every week. I'm tired, Hoppo.
Are you okay?
That's my line.
Yeah.
If you know me,
It's in the
I'm
coo-
tired.
it's in the cooler on the
Right.
shelf.
And I do want to let everybody
That's
know.
my favorite
I do
one.
want to let everybody know one thing. Somebody at this table is very sober right now, and 2, you can guess which one. And then 2, I am not 5 foot. I'm 5'3". My chair is sinking. I just want to let you know 'cause I've been watching these episodes back
And
to
it's
back,
like,
and I look
going
hella
down.
very down.
Just get it.
Because
going
I'm a whole 210 right now, so there's a lot going on back there, and it's very heavy, but it sinks, and I am slowly sinking. I'm 5'3". Okay, no shade to anybody 4'11" or 5 foot. I think they're wonderful, but I'm just saying I am not that short. But some people think I'm taller
You
in
are,
person.
you're literally are sinking like as you're speaking.
Yeah.
She's just sliding lower and lower and shit. And is that the wobbly chair in the back? That's the one that like wobbles around.
That's how you let you know it's raw and
It
real.
looks
here
like
in the studio.
it looks
y'all,
like
y'all love giving away studio secrets.
I'm sorry.
Is that the wobbler?
It makes people feel included. Like it's trivia. It's like pop-up video. Like you actually feel like you're on set.
I remember
That's
pop-up
true.
video.
Niggas like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna come for an interview and I'm gonna get the fucking sinking chair. Damn.
Yeah.
They
well,
gonna
now
set
can
me
you
up for
guys guess
failure.
who's
For the
sober one?
carnitas.
But we're gonna have stories about this chair one day,
Right.
And whose
Major stories.
whose butts have graced this seat.
Oh man,
Whose
Yeah.
Hey,
cheeks, whose
you
cheeks
said
have
only
slid
210.
across this?
I'm a good whopping 260, so I be on that motherfucker.
We carry it well, don't we?
I was about to say,
We carry it very well.
no offense to just talk about your personal body figure. or
No,
something like
go
that.
for it.
But she's sitting down. But woo, Taylor got ass. Okay, let me tell y'all, she got a whopper back there. So
Whopper?
sorry. So yes, carry it very well.
Thank you. So this is the recovery episode. Are we gonna talk about a little bit of
I
sobriety
don't-
and recovery? Just a little? Do you guys feel like it?
Yeah, we can't.
If we can make it funny, is it a way to make that funny?
There's nothing
Without
funny.
everybody getting.
There's
you know,
nothing funny about being sober. Two things are nothing funny. Nothing's funny
Yeah,
about going
I'm
to
like-
prison, and there's nothing funny about being sober.
It's not. Is it fun though being sober? Be honest.
The movie Let's Go to Prison was funny.
I actually watched that movie with somebody that went to prison.
shit
He
was
cut
funny.
that shit off in 15 minutes. He was so mad.
Why was it
so-
not like realistic?
I think that's one thing. But
It
he
was more
he was-
comedic.
I think because they opened with a lot of like "don't drop the soap" jokes.
Yeah.
And he was pissed. He was
Yeah,
so
that make it
mad.
sound like something happened. That makes,
I was about to say that
Yeah,
sounds
yeah.
pretty
'Cause
traumatic
I've
for
been
you
to
to be
jail,
pissed
and I don't.
over.
That shit is funny to me when I see certain shit. It's just like
I don't know.
I don't know. I feel like when it's anger comes from certain shit that's supposed to be funny, that's like maybe touchy for certain people.
But
like,
also depends on why the fuck was he in there.
yeah.
Right.
You
That's
couldn't
what
Google him.
Ooh.
You
ew.
didn't like go on what's that database? You could just I don't know the name of it.
No.
What?
But yeah, so the real reason why I'm here. Thank you guys for having me. So yeah, I've been sober for almost 10 years now.
Dope.
And I am not a drug and alcohol counselor. Actually, it's funny because I wanted to talk about that. Like
Do me a favor.
the-
Lift your chair up real quick.
This is gonna go.
Or you want to switch it for one of them?
switch-
no, it's
What is
fine.
Because you're gonna have to like get all the way up to do it. Yeah.
Because you singing under the
Woo!
table.
Everybody gets to see your booty. I'm just playing. Sorry, Taylor. Making you feel uncomfortable.
No, I'm fine.
Oh, scissors.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, I'm back, everybody. Oh, there we go.
There we are.
Here we are. But
So everybody can see your sober as fuck
They
hoodie.
can read the shirt.
thank you, I appreciate it. I did not print this.
I didn't even know they said that till just now.
So
Wow.
That was the
We know
joke,
who's
Tony.
not sober. I mean, we know who.
I ain't even
yeah, we know
smoked
who's
today.
not sober.
and
I had a Jameson and ginger ale,
Okay, that don't count as sober.
but I'm not
it's
drunk.
A trip. It's a trip when it comes to being sober because the thing about it is like I'm usually like there's a couple reactions that I'm met with, and one that I've been getting recently, not from y'all because y'all are lovely people, is they assume that it's a requirement for everybody around me to be like bone abstinent, sober, you know, and not have any.
Oh, you're like sober for real, like no sex either? Wait,
Oh,
you
is that
said
part of
abstinence? You mean abstinence from
well,
sex?
abstinence is just
Abstain.
Right,
Just the
abstain,
word
yeah,
abstain.
right. But
yeah.
for me,
yeah.
that's the first thing I jumped
When
to.
you just say abstain from something.
Kind of girl.
That's why I was like, oh shit,
Yeah, no,
hell no.
that's another requirement.
Couldn't
but,
do that.
I mean, that's not a requirement. Oh my god, you know how many people wouldn't?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, hold on.
No. But I'd be like abstinence in a sense of as far as like
Alcohol,
fully
okay.
abstain from drugs and
Or drugs,
alcohol.
right.
And that's not a requirement for me at all. In fact, a lot of people think that I'm loaded or drunk. Many times they've asked me if I'm drunk just because who I am and how I carry myself, which is hilarious.
Uh-huh.
That's the
I'm the
joke.
same way.
Yeah.
I'd be like, bro, no, I'm just awesome. Stop.
But it's interesting because there's a lot that happens. I went to rehab. I did go to rehab. $35,000 later. That's why I don't recommend it.
You
kids.
went to Malibu?
Oh, that's another thing. Though I'll tell you, those rehabs are so expensive, but it's like considerably. Now this is my opinion. I just said it's considerably a drop-in center because there's so many people that clean up and go right back to doing it because they have to do it for said role, said job, said family.
Because they call somebody the N-word or something.
Oh,
That's usually like that's the
people have
weird
gone-
shit.
it's weird.
I found that in the last like 15 years with like famous or whatever you celebrities. and like rehab becomes like a requirement if you call somebody the F-bomb or the N-word, or like you have an outburst and say something about the Jewish community, and then they literally get on TV and be like, I just checked myself into rehab.
For what?
Like, for what if you weren't even... It's not like you said that shit sober.
Right.
Like, that's how you really feel. So why are you going to rehab to rehabilitate the way you think or so? That shit, I just thought that when they use that word.
Well, a lot of stuff is publicized, right? So
Yeah.
by it being so public, they feel like they need to do something public to make amends in a certain
or
sense.
appease a certain group of people.
A certain group of people, just so they can keep getting work, or so
Yeah.
they can, keep their...
But how does the word rehab... I don't understand
Those
like how the
things
word
don't
rehab.
correlate.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't
That's
correlate
all.
to
That
me.
shit makes no
Because
sense.
when it comes to like when I think of like recovery from anything, it's just like it's a lifelong endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
Like I could be sober on Tuesday and lit on Wednesday and be sober again on Thursday. But if I want to live a life of recovery sobriety, it's a daily effort on my part. So I didn't go to Malibu. I got sober in Glendale, which is funny because we used to call Glendale Glen Jail, because there are certain cities, like when I was running the streets, that we would avoid.
Yeah.
We never went to Glendale. We never went to Burbank. We never went to Pasadena.
Yeah.
I stayed out of Compton just because there's a certain place I know that there's two different types of trouble. There's the law enforcement trouble, and then there's the trouble like you in too deep.
You in the hood now.
You into the deep. You into. But I'd rather deal with that any day.
Only way out
I'd
now
rather deal
is
with
in a
that
box.
any day. So, by the grace of God, I ended up. I almost died 5 times.
Yeah.
I've overdosed 5 times, and kind of like to mix alcohol with heroin.
And that's what I was going to ask. Was
that
it like alcohol poisoning or?
It wasn't alcohol poisoning, actually.
mix.
Because I know people that were
yeah.
like fucked up just drinking with they don't smoke,
Yeah.
snort, nothing. They just drink, and these motherfuckers are like damn near dead to where we gotta like, bro, like take this nigga to the hospital.
Right.
Because he just drunk himself into like
A stupor
Yeah,
to where you
literally,
can't
like-
even like function anymore.
I was literally about to say a stupor
Right,
too. Like, that's crazy.
and it's scary because like people don't really see alcohol as deadly as a
Man.
substance as heroin.
That's probably,
Well,
like,
now
the
there's
worst
fentanyl
one.
on the streets, which is really fucking scary. Because I'm glad I got sober when I did, because shit's just getting stronger.
Yeah.
But the thing that trips me out is like, unlike heroin and cocaine and certain things that all come from plants, fentanyl is 100% manufactured. So why they're like,
It's a lab
there's a
drug.
fentanyl epidemic,
But
but I'm
you
like,
created
y'all
it.
won't stop making it.
Yeah, you
like when
made
y'all
it.
gonna stop making it? That'd be cool.
That's real
That'd
shit.
be
though.
cool.
That's real shit though.
Like when y'all just stop production for a little bit. Like we can run out of
Never.
insulin and we can run out of baby formula, but we can't run out of fentanyl.
Never.
Yeah.
Why, Kim?
Never, because people are greedy.
People want their shit.
Yeah. So that's the thing, and it was just like there was I when I got sober, it was like my intent was, one, not to die, but also I was really afraid to get sober because I didn't know myself without alcohol. Like I can drink. Like I was so proud of myself with the amount I can drink. I'd literally go to a party and pregame on my way there. I remember MySpace parties and Facebook parties, and it wasn't private back then. So I would literally go on MySpace and Facebook every night. This is like the early 2000s. I turned 18 in 2005. And walk into parties, and I just find out who the host was, and I go straight for the free liquor. You know how fucking dangerous that is?
Yeah.
But I would do that in Silver Lake or Echo Park when gentrification just kind of started.
Yeah, so
they
it'd be
Finding like the little loft parties.
Yeah, and the little
shit going
houses,
on.
right?
And they want you guys to come.
Right.
The people that are throwing those parties want the people from the actual neighborhood or the people that make that neighborhood.
Right.
To like validate them. So it's come over, turn up. Like
I didn't know those people until
exactly.
there'd be a point where they'll be like, "Who are you and who do you know here?" I'm like, "Shit."
And I found myself, I found myself at parties like that at like 18, 19, just from doing music and with the homies, and be somewhere off of Melrose, somewhere that, of course, I grew up around that area, but I didn't frequent those.
Yeah.
And I'd be like at a house with the homies, my white friends, and I'm just sitting on the couch, and I'm like, I hardly even smoked weed then. So I'm like, I don't have weed to roll, but I'm looking and like niggas is doing bumps on tables, and I'm like, niggas is going in rooms, stumbling out,
Right.
and I'm like barely got a beer, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm cool.
Coke was really popular
Like,
back then. It's still popular now, which I'm surprised.
Me and one of my coworkers just was talking about that maybe 2 nights ago, to where it's like everybody's on that shit.
Still.
It almost like it's cool. Like it became cool for everybody. And I've never done a bump in my life.
Right.
I done sold it, everything, but I've never like ever I was scared to do the shit.
Right.
Because anything I felt like you just can't inhale, I'm scared to just sniff something, and I felt like I'm gonna be like Uma Thurman and fucking.
Oh, her nose just start bleeding out of her brain and start dying. Yes.
I've always had that feeling. That's why I've just
Yes.
never even wanted to snort anything. So
Right.
But we talked about that the other night, and it's just like at the bar. I work at a bar, so
Yeah.
And you see just the connection of alcohol and drugs. Some people like they do the drugs so they can keep drinking more.
Yes.
And they're like, it's just a reset. You
There's
can get high as fuck.
I don't
It's
want to
like,
cut you off, but you got some lint in your beard.
Oh, shit.
You might want to, yeah.
But the thing about using though too
Good man,
is that
good
there's
man.
a line. There's
Cam
a
for the
line
win.
that people can cross. It's an invisible line, and it's called social acceptance.
Real shit.
So it's just like if you were to do coke and alcohol, that's fine. But when there's certain drugs that cross the line,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like it's crazy. And the social acceptance also comes. It's a classist
But
thing
yeah,
too.
you ask some people, and it's like, whose line is it? You know,
Right.
And some people may look at you like, who are you to draw that line on? You know, because you do this, so why
Right.
can't I do this?
Right. And it's a classist thing. For sure it's a classist thing. Because if you're poor and you're doing hard drugs, you're a fucking scum of the earth.
Yeah.
You're a pariah. You're a
If
parasite.
you're rich, it's you needed to take the edge off.
Yeah. Oh,
he's had
he
so
just
much
went on
anxiety
tour and stuff.
He was just trying to loosen up,
Blow some steam
and
off. Yeah, blow off some steam, and you over here freebasing.
Yeah, literally.
What the
I-
fuck? Like you see that hot tin can and a trick because they didn't have crack back
Yeah.
then. So you say you walking on a set of Richard Pryor when he's done, he's straight up freebasing. Sir, you are not blowing up steam. You're going to blow us up.
And I know
Like-
podcasts. I mean, you see, he blew himself up.
Yeah.
And burned himself and set
Yeah.
himself on fire smoking crack. But I know podcasters that say like I did coke from 81 to 91, and they're still relevant dudes on YouTube now because they stopped in 91
Right.
and started their career like to where they really blew up. But they even said that they were like, nothing happened I just got sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Yeah.
And my body, it wasn't that I just was like, let me stop before and,
You die. Like,
and
you straight up die,
And
like-
the dude says, he's like, I tried freebasing once, and that shit wasn't for me. My fucking heart was about to blow up, felt like. I'm thinking a nigga about to come through the wall. He's like, I'm literally with my revolver up against the door, like, because I think, and
I don't
I've
know,
heard
bro.
I've heard
Watching
a lot
New
of
Jack
niggas say
City
that.
and seeing Pookie and shit like that, it's like, once you see certain images, it's like, nah, I already
I'm
see what
good.
that's
Yeah.
gonna do.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I was alive when crack. I was probably like 3 or 4 when crack
Lord.
hit the. So I seen like I can remember like walking from the store with my mom and a nigga is like dangling out the window, like
Yeah.
half his body screaming, and the fire trucks and people are like, he's off that shit, and that like literally. And I remember that when they used to call it ice. And they're like, he's on ice, and I was like, that's what crack was called when it first came out.
Oh, wow.
I don't know what ice became after
Meth.
that, but I
Meth,
think
yeah,
so.
meth,
But when crack first came, that's why all the rappers, Ice Cube, Ice T. If you really think about all the niggas wasn't naming themselves, and they're all from that era where crack
Because
started.
they were selling crack.
They were selling crack, and then you think like in the
makes
80s,
sense.
it's so many rappers that had ice in their name because they were hustlers. Or
Now,
they
he
were,
was hung in a window for a different
but
reason.
they said Vanilla Ice was like a real nigga in Texas. A lot of people say that's like they say dude was a respected rapper that had bars and people fucked with him, and the industry Interscope got him or whoever
Made him a pawn.
and did that shit
Made
to
him a
him and
pawn,
made him
yeah.
a joke. But they said the
Right.
niggas in Texas really fucked. That's why he got the deal because the streets really fucked with him and he was dope. Because the nigga had us all in front of the TV dancing. He wasn't that whack, and then he got whack.
Yeah.
But that ice shit,
The movie.
man, now
Cold
the
as ice.
cold as ice.
Man.
But that, like, literally, I remember. So I seen that from the jump of, like, crack and seeing adults, and I can remember seeing prostitutes. My mom, we'd walk to the store, and I can remember like thinking, like, damn, they're pretty, and they in fishnets, and you know, like they out there working, looking good. But I can remember after crack started, and I would see those same girls, and to me, they look like zombies. Like, and I remember asking my mom, like, why they look like that?
Yeah.
Like they look dead. And this is maybe I'm like 4. But I see this shit in my as a kid. I'm like, those the same chicks I remember. I used to be like, damn, they look cute in my head. I'm not saying that to my mom at 3 or 4, but it's just I remember thinking these women look nice, and then seeing them again and they look like zombies.
Yeah.
And I was just saying that was when crack hit, and it was just so. I don't know. It's like when you see shit and you kind of learn, you either fall full into it or you run fully the other way.
And that's really what it is, because it's the difference between I solely believe that addiction is centered in our thinking and how we are, because never in my life that I think I would get to a point to where I'm on the blade. That's what the kids call it now, the blade. We used to call it the track.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
Out there seeing people I care about get into cars just so they can come back and give me my money. I never thought that. I was supposed to be an artist. I was supposed to be I was supposed to be an artist and a nomad. I remember in kindergarten those are two things I wanted to be.
A nomad?
Yeah, nomad.
I used to call myself that.
I always liked the word nomad.
It's cool, right?
Yeah.
But it's just like, my style of being nomadic ended up being couch surfing and jumping from jail to jail. And I never thought that would happen. Like, that's the thing. Addiction knows
like
no
natural
face.
with a lot of
yeah.
us. Not the jail part. I feel that's natural, though, to just kind of move around and you're just a certain type of spirit. And you be like, I'm doing what I do, and it's working for me, but I'm here, I'm there, I'm everywhere.
Right.
And this shit works. So some people, they're just comfortable like that.
Yeah, but not the degree I was doing. And that's another thing about addiction is that it's not a competition about who's worse off either.
Yeah.
Like, I used to suck dick for coke. I'm like, damn, that's good for you. What do you want me to say? Like, I don't know what to tell you.
I had it way worse.
Yeah, I had it way like
Half-baked.
yeah. That's exactly it. Like for weed.
Boo this man.
Boo this man. That was Stinky from House Party 3.
That was David from Real World.
From the Real World.
Oh, it
That
was.
was the one that got kicked out because they lied on him and they tried to. But actually, that his career started.
He's a comedian though, right?
He was a comedian when that happened, but his career kind of started after the Real World. He got in House Party 3 after that shit. He got in Half Baked after that. Like that kind of set him on to where Dave Chappelle did that sketch. The Real World sketch is based on what happened to him on the Real World.
Oh, okay.
And he even had him on the show, so it kind of his career didn't go A+, but he's a respected, I feel, kind of
Comedian? Would you consider him a comedian?
Well, I've never seen him do stand up, but I think he used to do the Fat Tuesdays and he used to do like the Comedy Store shit. So I feel like I feel like he put his stamp down as who he was in the night. He was on The Living Color after the Real World shit, so he kind of made.
He did have a couple guest spots on The Living Color.
Yeah, he had a good resume as far as after that bullshit. Because that shit made me mad. I was like 13, looking at that like, why they throwing this nigga out? He the one black dude. It was
Wow. And the thing about it too is like, in California, when it comes to actually like, how do you know one has a problem, right? What will you think signs are having a problem? Because everybody doesn't get to the Pookie point. Some people don't get to the point. In fact, some people die and not have a problem because it's an accidental overdose, or people get laced. Yeah. Or we've heard about. You remember those 3 comedians that died?
Yeah, I was just about to say it was really like 4 of them there, and one that was when she was Darius Rucker's, I guess, girl or side chick.
Okay.
The Hootie and the Blowfish dude, and she's the one. I think it was her actual apartment. And she invited everybody back because it was like a Friday night.
Yeah, after the show.
And they said they went there and heard screams. The neighbors like called the police. And they got there. And one of the dudes I actually knew. I did like 2 shows with him.
Oh, wow.
And I seen him at a mic maybe a year before, but he was kind of like super same thing, respected, did sketches with Marlon Wayans and like a lot of people.
Right.
And they said, I guess he did the biggest bump first and just checked out immediately. Then another person fell out. Then I guess that's when she started screaming because everybody's falling out on the floor. Then she passed out. And she was in the hospital. She was in a coma for like 3 weeks, I think.
Oh, my God.
And then she got out, but she was even a good month. She did maybe her first podcast a good month and a half.
Wait, so after the first dude went down, they continued to do it?
No, they were all it was just out, and they were all just
doing it, consuming
just doing
it,
it shit. And I
then
guess
he laid out first.
He fell out. The other dude fell. They all. It
was a domino effect. Yeah, domino effect.
Because they were all like doing it at once.
But that was casual social use. So like, how do you detect if somebody has an actual problem? Because there's people that are fully functioning that like drinking per se.
They go about their everyday life.
Live to be 67 years old, but they do a 12-pack every night, right? So what would constitute somebody to be an alcoholic or an addict? I don't know.
I'll say when
I really don't.
I feel like when it interferes with your everyday life.
When it's starting to take your ass home and you don't know.
Right.
And I feel like just me working at a bar and I don't like it's a dude I know. He an older dude. He cool. He come to the bar, so we hadn't seen him in a couple months. And we were like everybody starts, hey, where so-and-so at? I ain't seen that nigga. We talking. So the other homies come to the bar like, yeah, he like all fucked up.
Right.
Like he comes here and sometimes he's there when I get to work. And I get to work at 7. He might leave at like 1. So you've been there before I got to work. And so the homies was like, yeah, I guess he went to the doctor. He got congestive heart failure. He had liquid around his heart.
Lord.
But they were like, what this nigga do? He drinks all day.
Yeah.
He wakes up, drinks, then he goes to work, drinks on his way to work. drinks on his lunch, comes to the bar on lunch, drinks all for like a good 2 hours, goes back to work, drinks on the way back home. Like, and then like, cause some of the other they're his neighbors, some of the other patrons. So they're like, I'll see the nigga sitting in his work van, like with 2 tall cans after work. And then he'll be in his driveway to back out and come back to the bar.
That nigga trying to get away from something.
Yeah, he's going through a divorce. His wife just left him.
He's trying to escape something. That's a mindset.
Yeah, he's an older dude.
So that's not really. It's something that's driving him to drink.
His life is in shambles right now. His wife left him. So now, but this is the part where I bring it up. It was like, this nigga has a problem.
Yeah.
So like while we were talking about it, I'm like, man, I ain't seen this nigga in a minute. And I come back to work like 2 Saturdays ago. I walk in and it's dead, just a bartender. And I look and this nigga is the one nigga just sitting there. Him and me and the bartender were talking about him on Friday night. And then he's sitting, it was like we manifested him or something. He's the only person sitting in the bar. And I look at her, she's like nigga. So she's talking to him and she texts me like bro, like I don't even want to serve him. Like he just told me like he's on medication. Like bro, why are you here? Like why are you here and you're on medication?
Something I was about to say. I don't agree with it's something that drove him there. For me personally, as someone who's spiritual, I don't think it's something that drove him there. I think his mind is weak in an area.
So when I say drove him there, right? What I mean to say is his problem is deeper than just drinking.
Yeah,
it's a reason that he's drinking. He's using the drinking to cope with something.
But that's what I'm saying. He's going through a bad divorce.
Addiction, alcoholism is progressive, and this is a side effect, a symptom of. So there's definitely some things that have not been touched upon. A lot of people, it's trauma, and addiction tends to be triggered by a trauma being sparked.
To escape. It's an escape. I can just take my mind off it. It's the same thing.
But also to be void of spirituality. I agree with you too as well. Like if I didn't have spirituality in my life, I was raised religious. I didn't have a bad experience with Catholicism. I walked away on my own. I actually wanted to be a nun, but that didn't work out.
Wow.
And my parents did not force religion on me. I just went crazy. And I learned the difference between spirituality and religion, and if it wasn't for spirituality, I would definitely say I would not be alive, let alone maintain sobriety as long as I have.
I think religion has a lot to do with why people can even be so. Like I said, I call it weak personally, not to offend anybody or anything like that. But like I said, as someone spiritual, I've done coke before. I would personally not go to the extreme and do. I haven't gotten outside of coke, basically. But it's, to me, I feel like because I am spiritual, I can't get addicted to anything because I'm so spiritually open in my mind. There's no way, nothing traumatic in my life happening, no matter what it is, can drive me. That's where drive me to stay in that position or to even get myself into that position.
Right.
And that's why I say that, because also for a lot of people that are spiritual, you know that when you might be learning this as being someone into spirituality and becoming sober, drinking alcohol blocks your spirituality. When you're under the influence of alcohol, it's like you don't see, obviously, like you can't, I'm trying to explain it. It's really hard to explain spirituality to people. I feel like you really can't. It's something that you have to feel personally. Yes, to our audience.
For the studio audience, yes.
He like pushed them.
State your name and where you're from. Where you from? What's your name and where you from?
The business.
But yeah, man, what do they call alcohol? Other than alcohol?
Poison.
No.
Yeah,
what?
Well, some people pick your poison.
Truth?
Spirit.
Yeah,
they
that's
do call it
true.
spirit.
But then people do say pick your poison.
What is
People
that?
are.
But they do call it
sure,
spirits
like,
too.
They do call it.
Yeah.
But I get a sense
I
of.
think alcohol, messes with your spirit, like in a negative way.
Right.
Those demons start
That's what
talking
I'm
to you.
saying.
But it
That's what I'm
depends.
You
saying.
have demons and you're loaded. They get real loud.
I'll see these
Those
people
demons get
nightly.
real loud.
I look at people. I see certain people that can drink all fucking night and sit on the bar stool, still be themselves.
Right.
Might be. Oh shit! My damn.
Oops.
Might be a little stumbly.
That didn't want to exist anymore. They said I'm done.
Might be a little. Might be a little stumbly. Might be, but they'll make their way to their ride and sit in their car. They even know I'm not gonna drive off because I'm faded. They'll sit in their car for an hour, 2 hours, so they straight then drive off.
Yeah.
To me, that's the type of person I am. I don't care how much I drink that. Oh, I was drunk. That's why, like, that's never been. I can drink till I fucking pass out, throw up, and I remember I've been fucked up to where the homies gotta like carry me to the car, and then the next day we all talking, like, and I'm telling them like what I heard. They're like, "Damn, nigga, you was awake."
Yeah. Like anytime that I was traumatic, I was just talking to a friend about this. Anytime that I was like, oh, what was me? What is, like, you know, this is happening to me. Like, you know, obviously everybody's different and they handle it different. But to me, in my head, when I'm like, oh, something's happening right now, I'm not happy, my first instinct is not to numb myself. Yeah. Because how is that positive anywhere?
You have coping mechanisms, though, yes? Healthy ones?
I mean, I would think so. I talk to myself a lot. I tell people all the time, this is the thing. When you're with someone for a long time, for every single day, you talk to them all the time, you get to know them and all this kind of shit too. You fall in love with them, right? So the more time you the more time you spend with someone, you fall in love with them. You want them around more. You start doing stuff. Not addicted. That's a horrible word. Although I use that word in my own
but
saying,
it is like you're like you need that person. You need to see that person for the day.
That's not my point, but. My point is that the more you talk to someone, the more you learn who they are, and then the more you love them. So talk to yourself.
Yes.
Talk
you
to
gotta talk to yourself.
Having a healthy that voice, healthy communication voice is something that I definitely had to work on in sobriety. And also knowing the difference between my own voice and being mixed up with the demons and the voice of intuition.
And I was just about to, and that's just what I was about to say. What's the difference with just talking to yourself and listening to your conscience?
Yeah.
That's what I was literally about to say that because I've learned that.
To deter logic. Yeah. People be like, oh, I overthink so much. People overthink. I overthink all the time. Yeah. But this is what I was telling someone the other day as well. It's weird that all this is coming up, and I just talked about this. When you're overthinking and you're thinking about all these things, you keep thinking about all these things, when you really boil down to it and look at those things that you're thinking, start canceling out what's really logical. Yeah. And then it's like, I don't know, that's what I also tell people because a lot of people come to me for advice on stuff like this, spirituality and just loving yourself and kind of like, people want to know like, why is this happening? Right. Type thing. And like, it's like, you have to think logically. Like thinking logically it sounds weird when you're a spiritual person, but in a sense, it actually helps your spirituality because you can't change logic. Like you get what I'm saying?
So like you want to look at things objectively,
see truth,
and then you want to find evidence.
That's the main
evidence
part,
of those things exist.
Part.
And are you overthinking? But are you processing?
Right.
You know,
it's fine to overthink, but just as long as you're telling yourself like, well, I'm thinking about this, but is that really gonna happen? Like
some people can't do that though, and that's what they logically try to make that.
Yeah, and that's why I gotta
do another bump.
I gotta weaker in certain parts of their minds when it comes to being addicted to certain things, because like I said, I could never, for some reason, I don't see how people can even get addicted to anything. The only thing actually, to be honest with you guys, what I get addicted to is love.
Okay.
What'd you say?
Are you a water sign?
No, I'm a fire sign. I'm a Leo.
But they do say there are certain drugs like I think like heroin.
The only thing that I've found myself.
I forgot what two drugs it is. It's heroin and one other drug. So they said like literally as soon as you take it the first time it's your blood, like you need it. And
well, because it creates a dependence.
Exactly.
But when it comes to like the human experience, right?
That's crazy. That makes me want to try heroin then.
Please don't.
I don't believe in that.
The thing about it is
she gonna be stuck on the next show.
The thing about it is
I don't think so.
It's in my experience and my belief is that a lot of us a lot of us don't really have coping mechanisms, and also it's so hard to do the right thing. It's so hard to do the right thing or the healthy thing. Otherwise, if that was the case, everybody would have 6-packs. Everybody would be on green juice and eating vegan, and nobody would smoke. You get what I'm saying? Because absolutely, but also there's not really a pinnacle of how we should carry ourselves.
True.
But in my experience, I could say I lacked certain coping mechanisms, and it wasn't my parents' fault. It was because I consciously made a decision on how I wanted to live my life at the age of 13. That's why I believe it's centered in our thinking, because I didn't start drinking until I was 21.
Same. I did not touch
anything until I was 21.
I didn't start smoking until I was probably 17, and I didn't smoke how I smoke now until I was probably like 23.
When I was like 11.
I was like 23, 22 when I started smoking like this.
There's three different people, right? And we all have 3 different experiences, completely different experiences, and then all of us are here now in the same. We're all at the same level right now that we're all able to cognitively and clearly have this conversation, but put the same substances in front of all three of us, because we all have the same opportunity to use them,
right?
Whether you believe me or not.
Yep.
And look at how we all react, and look at how we all function. So it's just like, when it comes to crossing that invisible line and getting to a place where there's no turning back, because giving yourself and giving your life to full blown addiction, as much of a tug of war it is, I realized, like you said, you were conscious when you're drinking, right? I never blacked out from drinking.
I've blacked out, but I've blacked out no more than like twice. And I was still,
and remember the day before. And
I can remember everything before.
That's scary. I used to be jealous of people that blacked out. I'm like, shit, I don't want to remember what I did last night. I do not want to remember.
When I I blacked out. We went to a bar, and the homie dropped like 500 on the bar.
Oh, shit.
Because he was a comedian then, and he's still like a famous. I didn't know what I was going to do this, but he had just took me and the homies, kind of like security shit with him. We in the club, and he's like, yo, the show sold out, but y'all can chill at the bar. Y'all ain't got to pay for nothing. Matter of fact, he dropped 500 on the bar. I was like, whatever my niggas drinking. Matter of fact, Hennessy and Heineken's just all night. So we like, me and the homies, I'm like 21, 22.
Yeah.
And I'm the older homie. The other homies is like a little younger, but we all look like we big niggas, so they wouldn't, and we with the famous niggas. So we in there drinking. And I remember I was about 2 Hennessy. They were double Hennessy's and amaretto. And I remember I was like two Hennessy's and 2 Heineken's in. And I don't remember blacking out. But that's the thing. Even in my blackout phase, I'm still me. Because I didn't I woke up and I was still at the bar, and we talking. It was like 2 chicks at the end of the bar, and it wasn't like I was loud or belligerent. And then I remember the homies like, "Hey, we about to go here," and I got up off the stool and walked outside, and it went black again. And then
I've never blacked out like that.
And it
I just
came
blacked
back.
out where I was like, I gotta go to sleep. I can't do
it.
Just
I was literally in and out to where, but I would come back in and I'd be in mid conversation with like people.
Oh wow!
And they'd be standing. It wasn't like they'd be like, and it was literally like I'm walking up into a conversation, and my eyes were just open, and it's like 2 people in front of me, like finish what you were saying, and I'm like, I don't even know what I was saying, but it's obviously it was something to have 2 people stuck like listening. And when I kind of, that's why I don't like to get to that level.
They just
but
stuck
it wasn't
listening because you talk too damn much.
No, but it's literally.
But see, and that's when, like, what you described to me was like, that's when drinking was still fun. It was definitely still fun for me. Like, to me, if somebody was to be like,
I'm trying to stop moving.
It's okay. If somebody was to be like 500 spit and dropping on the bar, I would definitely feel like I have arrived, especially with the company I keep. But the thing about addiction is that and just, there's a conscious decision, I think, at some point where we just accept that this is our fate. Like, this is how I'm gonna die. Like, I was all for a 27 club, you know what I'm saying? And I was all for the statistics being against me because I did not want to live, and I was living to get loaded, but I wanted to get so high enough to where, like, I'm like this close to death.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is, there are parts that are conscious decisions that we make to continue to overdrink, to continue to use drugs, and to continue to do the felonious things that we did. Like, I broke the law every day. And that wasn't just picking up dimes and nickels. You know, I wasn't no big baller drug addict. But people are like, oh, I used to do
an ounce a day.
I don't know how.
Like,
or people be like, I did $800 with the heroin a day.
Hey, Flavor Flav said he was spending like 2200 a day on.
But the human body is fascinating. The amount of resilience.
No, but if they
doing
that on a regular basis, then they on their last leg.
And they doing it with people. You got to think that's how they do. Like, they doing it with other famous niggas, with their homies, with chicks. Yeah. So that's how you doing an ounce a day. I don't think nobody is just snorting an ounce of coke.
Some people that
they have those tolerances.
But they have so much sitting there.
Their tolerance is crazy.
No, but it be so much sitting there to where they not worried about something spilled or then.
I mean,
that's that. I feel like it's possible. But
the tolerances on some of these people
it's the same thing.
Insane.
Like, a nigga can just hit a blunt and be like, I'm spinning.
Yeah.
Bobby Brown.
I know a few of
and
those.
then we like
Bobby Brown.
Look, he done made it through every era. Like, he didn't. That's a joke I tell of, like, Bobby lived through every era of crack.
Oh my goodness!
Like, from the step, I was like, this nigga was smoking Franklin's batch from he had that Snowfall, and the nigga was still here. Nigga was through the 90s, through the stepped on shit.
Yeah.
He went through the drought. He came back, lived through the regular rebatch of coke and crack. Nigga came back through the fentanyl era, and he's still here. Like, and he got fat off the crack.
There was like, people talk about that, like, with Keith Richards.
Exactly.
Lived through all
like,
that.
He's
Like,
a fucking
how is
animal.
this guy alive?
He's an animal. Like, this nigga's done. He was like saying with Rick James.
Yeah.
It was insane, and I feel like it's a weird because there's a lot of people, and it's not to like say you shouldn't try to get sober, but it's I don't understand. I think maybe some people their body becomes so dependent.
Yeah.
When they get
You're
clean,
afraid to go through the withdrawal.
But it's not that they died from the withdrawals. They were clean for like 4 years. Old dirty bastard. There's a lot of dudes that were like on shit, and then they cleaned up, and then they end up just dying 2 to 3
when they
years
use again, yeah.
After
Because your body can only take
and
so
yeah.
much, but also if you go right back to what you used to do, it'll kill you. I
Your
know for sure.
tolerance drop, yeah.
Because your tolerance drops. That's very dangerous. I knew a lot of people. Unfortunately, my first year and a half of sobriety, I had to go to 6 funerals.
Damn.
Wow.
Because they would, and that's too much.
That's
I'm in
crazy.
and they were all under 30.
Wow.
crazy.
And they all were sober at some point. That's how I met them.
Yeah.
And it's just like they go right back to it because we still have the same brain. And your body's like, no, you're
And
done.
You know where you're comfortable.
You're done. Or people do get curious and die off their first. I knew somebody that got curious and died off their first shot of heroin. Their thing was coke and alcohol, and they were hanging out with somebody that kept, hyping up heroin a lot. And on their first shot of heroin, they died.
They OD'd.
They died. Yeah.
Okay, now I take my thing. I don't want to die.
But that was the thing though too. Is just like, okay, I'm at a point where like, how much can you lose? But I literally didn't work for 5 years because it's hard to keep it.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up the amount of drinking that I wanted to do and keep a
And
job.
keep a job, you just-
and then so
yeah.
I just like, okay, so I'm just not gonna work for 5 years. I stayed on the streets because there was a freedom that came with staying on the streets. You smell horrible, but you don't have to answer to certain people. Your shit is right there. The plug is right there.
You just
There was a liquor store I went to in Hollywood that would give you a discount if they knew you were homeless.
That's crazy.
They would give you 20% off if they knew you lived on the streets.
That's crazy.
So a 211, that was my jam at the time. It tastes like pennies.
I hate 211.
211s were like $2 back
Man,
then.
I remember
But
it was
if I
like
stayed on
$1.50.
they knew I stayed on the
remember
streets,
those.
and they
Shit
would
made
give
out
it
of
to
barley,
$1.80.
ain't
I
it?
remember
Ain't it made out of barley?
It's horrible.
it's made out of something
It's
that
made
you
out of
shouldn't be
everything.
drinking,
It's
nigga.
called 211 because 211 is
It's
a
a
Viking
crime.
symbol for steel.
I thought it was just
But,
a crime.
like-
Why it was
Ain't a
stainless
211 a
steel.
crime also?
No, you
Liquor-
got beers that are made out
Malt.
of wheat. That shit's made out of
Wheat and
barley.
hops.
That shit's made out of
Yeah.
tires.
That shit's
It's
made out of
terrible.
out of
It's
boot
bad.
tongues. That shit's made out of boot tongues and old gym mats.
But like,
Nigga.
it was just like, when do you hit your bottom? You know what I'm saying?
real
Like you're
shit.
destroying you can't have a relationship. You're destroying every relationship around you. The only relationships you do have are people that are addicts just like you, or some
Yep.
people end up dating their drug dealers.
That's
and
true.
then, and for me, my bottom was I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. So what changed everything for me, what rocked my fucking world, because I OD'd 4 times, and I'd be like, I remember the first OD, it was in Long Beach. It was actually out here. And
You know how we do.
and I was in this hospital, what is it, Long Beach Memorial? I don't know what it's called.
Over
I had,
here, right here,
I had
yeah.
no clothes on. I had a hospital again. I literally jumped in the lost and found to get clothes that fit me and bounced and went. I bought some candy and then I went to get high again. And I was like, so
Wow.
that was enough for me. And I commenced to do that, right? And I have horrific stories about that. But what was this last bottom? The last time it happened to me was, well, the first time they pronounced me dead and said it was a suicide over a woman, and I woke up. I said, I'll never die of no bitch.
Damn.
And that's what woke me up. That's what woke me up. And I was just
That shit
like,
pulled you from the
yeah,
right
it
place.
did. It did. They're like, oh,
You're
she
like,
broke
oh,
up with her
hell
girl.
no.
She broke up with her girlfriend. So that's why she tried to commit suicide. I was like, I would never die over no bitch. And then I woke up, went to go do it again. And then
fuck.
the last time was really scary because there was a voice that told me that I was gonna die as soon as that shit hit my body, because you could feel it come over you. And I used to always keep a 5th on me of dark liquor. I loved dark liquor, like E&J, that Irk and Jerk. I drank that shit
hate
all
that
the time. Like I
That's what I
love
blacked
that
out
shit.
Those are the two
Yeah.
alcohols. I hate
That's what
211
I-
and I hate brandy.
Well,
I
I
don't
was
like
getting-
brandy.
I was getting
but
wrecked,
I especially
right?
hate
What about
E&J.
Paul Masson?
Paul Masson is what made me
That
stop
sounds
drinking
fancy.
brandy.
No,
And that's the worst one.
Right, right.
And that's the worst
That
one.
shit
out of
make
all of them.
niggas fight.
This last time I already drank my flask full, and
Damn.
and I was just like, okay, so
You was really with it. You had a flask.
I had a flask, and I was really obsessed with fancy bathrooms, and I was in this really fancy bathroom in downtown.
fancy
Bathroom, yeah.
If you, I'll be honest.
This had a
y'all
marble
know.
checkered floor. Like, watch out, right? Like, if I'm gonna pass out, I'm gonna pass out on something nice. And something in my head
This
told
is
me, like, you're gonna
luxurious.
die. And I did it anyways. I felt the rush come over me, and I woke up in the hospital.
That's
but what happened
crazy.
was I had a Jane Doe band around my wrist. And usually I'll have people around me crying, wanting me to come back. And that was addiction part 2. Is it's like, I want you guys to feel sorry for me.
Yeah.
Because I can keep it going. You know, I can get enough sympathy to get
Let me
shake
get the
$20 out of
sympathy.
your pocket, or have you let me stay on your couch for another day because you feel bad. Because people generally cared about my ass. Like, come on, like I'm being a bastard. And then I had a Jane Doe band around my wrist, and I literally saw this white light, and I was crying to God. I was like, I'm sorry, I'll never do this again. Da, da, da. And I've never said that. I've never said to nobody, and I did not believe in the God at the time. And somebody
it just made you feel something though.
I felt literally whatever weight is holding us down, gravity, right? I felt it be released from beneath me, like it's your time to go.
Yeah.
And I'm crying, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'll never do this again. I promise. And I hear somebody like burst in the curtains and say, "Shut the fuck up, you fucking junkie." And I was like, what?
Yeah.
He's like, "You fucking junkies make me fucking sick. You come in these hospitals and you fill up all our fucking rooms and you shut the fuck up before I put you in the psych ward." It was a doctor that was talking to me like that. Wow. I started crying because I was like, first of all, how dare you talk to me like that?
Damn.
And second of all, I was just like, I'm alive. I'm alive. I'm alive. And they're like, "Who are you? This and that." And the doctor was like, he ran out of there. He was so fucking mad. And then this nurse came in and she was like sneaking me food because they didn't want to feed me.
Why not?
Wow.
They had already pronounced you dead, so they was about to try to pull some shit. What you think?
That sandwich was stale as fuck. I don't know what my organs were sold on eBay, huh?
Yeah, they already got them.
See, I don't know. I wasn't focused on any of that, right?
What hospital you say you was at again?
This last one. Well, no. This last one was the I was in downtown
because they
so it's
Memorial does
like near Children's Hospital.
No,
maybe?
I got out of Long Beach alive.
They got their own squeeze.
Was it
It was
Veterans
the,
Hospital? Was it Hope Street?
I think it was the USC Memorial.
That's the one on Hope.
Yeah,
I think on
that's where I
by
was.
Staples Center, by
Yeah.
the train stop.
I think that's where I was.
Yeah, the homegirl that was right next door to that motherfucker.
And
That's where I got most of my tattoos done.
He got a homegirl next to every.
so random.
He got a homegirl next to every
Hey,
fucking
real
location
shit.
that come up at
My
any show.
homegirl that do all my tattoos. When I
Right,
fell
so
asleep.
you right there.
Either that
It
or
was
he
right-
stayed across the street from a nigga that went there.
Yeah, so
Right,
like,
yeah, I know
so he's
that- I
getting
know that
tatted
shit.
up while I'm like,
That's
I'm
crazy.
dying.
Literally, she would do all.
While you're dying.
If we wasn't at the shop, we were at. Her apartment was literally directly next to the hospital.
Wow.
And you can tell those apartments are redone hospital rooms.
oh,
They just returned them
It's
into,
kind of
like-
creepy.
Yeah, it's
when you
weird.
see spaces like
yeah.
that, and and I didn't want to lose this chance, and I really think it was divine intervention because how come
definitely-
the last four didn't faze me, but this fifth one, it was just like
It was a wake-up call.
It was a wake up call, and somehow I got into where I got into, and I did end up relapsing after 90 days because one of my fatal flaws at the time was I was trying to impress a bunch of people, but when the jig is up and you're in a room full of people that do the same shit, the same dirt you do, you don't have to lie to kick it, and two, it's just like. It's like I don't have to impress anybody. They just want me to be here. And for the first time in my life, I experienced that people, when they would ask you, "How are you doing?" they really fucking meant it.
It was genuine.
They really, really meant it.
Yeah.
And my seat was saved. They were waiting for me to come.
Yeah.
And then, but after 90 days, I got
quit. Comfortable.
I got comfortable. I knew everything, and I tried to. I was mostly getting sober for my parents and not to die. I was not getting sober for
you,
myself and to
yeah.
seek a spiritual life. And also, I was trying to quit everything. So I used to smoke cigarettes.
And you
I'd
have to be
smoke-
ready for that shit,
Yeah.
not because other people want it for
And
you.
So how long have you been sober?
May next year will be 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
May of next year will be
I
10
So
years.
you have a super experience on both sides, like a good amount of experience on both sides. If someone, back in your age that you ran into that was doing the same things that you're doing, and she looked at you and she said, "Tell me one thing that could help me right now," like what
Right.
would you tell this person?
I got sober when I was 25, and I would tell this person that it's possible, but also they have to want it. But you only need to do it for one day. Don't, like I said, just like it was a competition about, I used to suck dick for coke and sell my grandma for rock. It could be the same thing with sobriety. It really can. Like, don't let my 10 years phase you, because I literally have as much time as you do. I have one day. I have one day. 'Cause I've seen people with way more sobriety time than me be the most miserable motherfucking people I've ever seen. And I would be like, if I'm ever like that, either shoot me or give me a drink.
Right.
Because I did not do this to get miserable. I did
Right.
not do this to make other people
Exactly.
miserable.
Yep.
I did not do this to not be fun at parties.
Yeah.
I'm a blast.
It's like I'm sitting here just angry. But that's what I was gonna ask too. How you said like when you were on the streets, or it just was all kind of shit that like where you felt comfortable there. What do you think is the difference of people that are like rich Oscar winners?
Right.
Like Philip Seymour Hoffman, who OD'd on heroin, and that was part of the fentanyl. That was like the beginning of
Yeah.
well, he was the
Heath
first.
Ledger too.
Yeah,
He was
and
on
it's-
pill. And you
said
couldn't
was
tell. You couldn't see it.
And they said he didn't sleep for like a week and a half trying to get into
Right.
the role. But Philip Seymour Hoffman was like went to the heroin like out on the block. And they said they even found he had like 5 bags in his pocket,
Right.
but he died on the first shot.
Wow.
But he
It
had been a
was
heroin
hot.
addict.
Yeah, it was hot.
But it was, and they said he spent he pretty much died off of $1,500 worth of heroin, and that's how much he had spent. And it was to where, you know, of course he's a rich like white person, Oscar winner, so they want to. Oh, we need to find the dealer and like all
they
that
only
other
stick
shit.
the dealer when there's. I've been in cases like that. I know, yeah.
But what do you think a person of that like status to even push them to just be like, I want $1,500 in heroin right now. And you got like 5 Oscars. You've been in countless movies. You the most respected. Like, was that
they thinking I'm trying to get enough, so I don't gotta go look for none later?
Yeah, you don't have to go. Yeah,
no, I mean, but even doing,
or they trying to set up shop. Like maybe you want to like
you can't
make your
do
own
that.
trap.
That's the worst thing you can do is sell drugs and be a drug addict. If you are an idiot, if you are a dumb,
and then they just try to get enough to get their next.
Ever do that? Like it's the hardest thing ever.
I did.
I just think is it just something they're searching for inside to be like you still this successful, rich.
It's the same across the board though. The thing that would kill them would kill me in a sense that you have yes men on both sides.
Yeah.
You're all even when you're drinking and using. I had the worst. Like I told you, I may have said
they want
in
to
that
drink
situation.
with you.
Yeah. There's competition
I was a social
too.
drinker.
Yeah.
I never
like
bought a
arrived.
bottle, but all my homies was always drinking.
That's
These
the worst thing that
alcoholics.
happened to me when my alcoholism was at its peak.
Yeah.
Like I was having 211s and
at 9 in the morning, 8 in the morning.
I got to a point where I was invited to like I could just trade off, right? So I'm drinking in downtown and drinking in Beverly Hills on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
But in Beverly Hills, I'm doing a liquor tasting of vodkas, and but I was drinking 211s or that plastic Russian bottle of vodka. That's my day though. That's a good day for me. But the thing that had in common between downtown and drinking in Beverly Hills, I didn't have to pay for shit.
Yeah.
That's the worst thing you can do. The peak of my drinking
was being handed
to me at that point. Like people would it was like being a wind up toy. Like people knew, oh, Taylor's coming, stock more liquor. Because like they really, really knew that. And the thing about it was like when you were talking about asked me earlier, like what would I tell that girl? And it doesn't necessarily get any safer, any faster, but you have to seek your safety. Mm-hmm. You have to seek your safety and find safe places to get sober too. What people don't know either too is that even when it comes to sober livings, people use drugs in sober livings, and sober livings are not regulated in California. Yeah. There's no regulation. And another thing that people don't know is that the whole rehabilitation industry, which I'm not necessarily 100% against, was started by a cult leader. Where women had to shave their heads to be part of this cult. I'm not making that up. And it's $1 billion industry now. And that's why the first thing that pops in your head was, okay, those Malibu places. I went to a place that had an open door policy, and that saved my life. Because if I can curse out a cop, you know what I'm saying? What makes you think I'm going to listen to your authority? Authority was the worst thing. Authority and alcohol did not mix for me. Yeah. But it was open door. They said, you can leave. You will not get your money back, but we will 100% refund your misery. And I'm like, is that a threat? They're like, no, it's a promise. And I'm like, ooh. But they were fighting me. That's the thing. It was just like, there's a big difference between being on survival mode and actually living. Yeah. And if anybody's trying to get sober, even as I get older, as I approach my 40s, I'm seeing more people that are those slower progressions that are getting to a place where they could possibly, it would be a good idea to seek help. Yeah. And somebody that's been doing drinking or whatever for 40 years and they established a family, they established a career, how do you tell them that? Mm. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to fucking hear it.
I don't know how to do it.
But when you're young and it's still kind of cute, you just like, how can you figure out who has a better chance here? Yeah. You're never too young and you're never too old to get sober. I just know that I wouldn't have survived to 40 if I would have kept doing what I was doing. But if you're in a state too like California, you are one of the luckiest motherfuckers in the world because there's so much help out there and it's free. Yeah. It's free.
I had my mom ship me off to a treatment center when I was like 18 in Tarzana because I was like, cause she thought I went to the county on some whole nothing to do with drugs, on some just like outside shit. Okay. And I get out and she got this dude pull up to meet me at the house and I'm like, who the fuck is this?
And he's having an intervention.
And he's like pretty much and she's like, oh, like he's like, yeah, it's this place and they'll hook you up with a job and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I had just turned 18, so I'm like, it's not clicking of what it is. So I'm like, man, she's like, you should just go and it's like I'm thinking it's like some Job Corps type shit of like I'm gonna go. So then like we go out to Tarzana and one of her best friends since I've been a kid, he was the person who ran it. So I guess she told him this elaborate story like I probably can count how many times I smoked on one hand in that time of I was doing totally other shit with nothing to smoking, drinking. I was just outside. So in her head, I was outside and just strung out or something. And it was like, we went out to this place, so I'm out there. I stayed for like a week just to like, I'm the person, I'm going to just go with it just to see what it is. And so everybody's like, I'm looking and everybody's like, yeah, how long you in here? And I'm like, well, they got me for like long term because it would be like short term, long term. And short term was 3 months and long term was 6 months. So then people was like, long term, like, what are you in here for? And I'm like, really? I think like weed. Because like she just thought I like smoked, and I did, but I never bought weed at that point. Okay. I would just smoke after school sometime. I had been graduated, but we'd be outside the school smoking.
Like, nigga passed me the blunt, so I hit it.
Yeah, literally. I wasn't like, hey, let's go get some. I was never that nigga. So I was there for about a week, and I'm seeing people that are really like going through it, tweakers, like all kind of motherfuckers, all races, famous nigga. DeBarge was in that motherfucker. Like literally, like I'm seeing a couple famous people, and I'm just like, after about like the third day, I'm like, it was cool. It wasn't crazy. It's in Tarzana. It's nice. I actually passed by it a few times recently, and it's still there.
It's still there.
And I just remember like I really don't need to be here. One, because I don't do shit.
Right.
But it was just looking, and I wasn't like they have like meetings and everybody would talk about everything at this time. We go outside. It wasn't even like a jail type shit. It was like kind of like a school or something type. Mm-hmm. And I just remember like calling a homie. I was like, yeah, like just come swoop me up. And I didn't even tell my mom I was leaving, but I talked to my mom's best friend, and I was like, bro, I don't need to be here. And he was like, well, your mom thinks. And I'm like, dude, I done smoked probably like 2 times in like the last year. Yeah. And he was like, really? Like she was trying to make it like you was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel me being here I'm taking the space away, and I didn't have to pay or I don't know.
Oh.
But because we knew the dude, like he's like an older gay dude that my mom, they did hair together in the 80s. So he ran the shit of like, he's been knowing me since I was like literally a kid. Yeah. So he was thinking I'm like, bro, me being here, I'm taking a space away from somebody that really need to be here.
Right.
And that's just what I told him. He kind of like looked, and he was like, well, if you really think you can like leave, and I'm like, dude, I'm not on shit. But I seen living in there and seeing the people and how they interact, and you see certain people they just can't wait to get out. Certain people feel like I'm glad I'm here. Yeah. Some people are like, I got to do this shit. I need to clean up. It's the same shit with jail. Niggas in jail, like, I'm glad I got caught because I be hustling, but I can clean up for the next 4 months.
Yeah.
I can actually settle down for the next 4 months while I'm in here and get out and get back to my money.
That was the thing for me though too. Like jail.
Sorry.
No, go for it. Like jail was just like
she was giving me a signal.
Oh, jail. Like I got to rest when I was in jail, and it was such a relief because it's just like, okay, you got 3 hots and a cot, where I was used to not having any of that.
Yeah.
And then you get to see what it's like really like while people are in there. Now there's a lot of ways to go about sobriety and recovery, and there's not just one way. And I think it's really important that people know the options they have. And also, if you're under 25, there's a lot of free programs that are available to you. And also, you can remain anonymous. Being anonymous in your sobriety and recovery is really important for a lot of people. Yeah. And also, these people need to be cut off. Like my phone, which I also think was God, my phone died, and my parents took it, right? And I remember after I got out the first week of being sober, and I was like, can I have my phone? They're like, yeah, sure, no problem, because I thought they were going to fight me on it. My phone wouldn't come back on. Oh. And I said, did you guys charge it? They're like, yeah, we charged it. It was plugged in the whole time. And it just didn't come on. It stopped working. No, I had to get a new phone and a new phone number. Yeah, that phone just stopped working.
All those contacts you weren't supposed to contact nobody in that phone.
Yeah, I needed to be sequestered.
Yeah. I don't believe in coincidences.
I needed to be sequestered. Yeah. And then like a couple weeks later, I get on the bus. I didn't start driving until I was 29. That was the best decision I think I made as a sober person. I mean, as a non-sober person. I did not get my driver's license. I knew I would have had bricks or bodies or both. Yeah. You know, and I was on the bus for the first 4 years of my sobriety, and I in the first couple weeks I saw this guy I used to run with on the bus, and I saw him, but you know, it's like however I'm feeling about what I see him, what I don't like in him is something I don't like in me. So I'm sitting literally looking at my own reflection, and he was on the bus breaking out a guitar. Wow. Talking to random people. He wasn't as high as he usually was. Right. And I was just thinking, like, he doesn't even recognize me. I'm sitting right next to him.
Damn, that's even worse.
It hasn't even been that long. To where I don't see you guys every month. Yeah. I still know it's you, Tony. I still know it's you, China. You know what I'm saying? But to be that gone.
I've seen that.
Yeah. To be that gone. And it was just devastating. Him and I were the same age.
With that being said, as to close it out with something good and positive, I love these kind of conversations. Like what I tell y'all, you listen to her, you gonna learn some shit. I'm telling y'all. But so there's a part of this that doesn't get talked about a lot. It's a part that's very important for me because my family are like have problems with alcoholism and stuff like that. So me being the spirituality person I am and not understanding how people get to that place, what is something that you could tell someone like me or someone that has a family member or a friend or something like that who may have ran into someone that doesn't notice them or like they're acting different, like they're a person that they never known? What would you tell someone like that? Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. And a lot of lives are lost because people negate that process.
Yeah.
One thing is having compassion and empathy is not easy to form over somebody that has consistently hurt you.
Yeah, that's true.
If you can,
that's
outside of yourself, you could muster up the courage to have and maintain that compassion and empathy. My heart goes off to you. Is it easy? Absolutely not. Is it possible? Yes. Because one of the craziest things that I was told when I first got sober is pray for motherfuckers you don't like. And I said, excuse me? But it worked. After 2 weeks, it would work, and I would have that empathy and compassion because somebody had the empathy and compassion for my dusty ass. Yeah. I'm not dusty now; I'd be lotion, but somebody had that compassion for me. Look at how the doctors talk to me in the hospital, and that's their job. They go under oath not to talk to you like that. But people that aren't being paid to help me are like, come through. How are you? So having that compassion and empathy, and then also understanding or even accepting. That's their coping mechanism. I don't believe in the saying people are doing the best that they can because it's not. I was not at my best when I was lower. I don't like that phrase.
You're weak,
and I get
strong,
that.
And I need you to be stronger.
I don't believe that people are doing the best they can when they're giving you bullshit. I don't believe in that.
I'm doing the best. Like, no, you're not.
What really helps though too, there is a group called
you're doing the best
Al-Anon.
to be comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. There's a group called Al-Anon that helps us dealing with coping mechanisms.
Not to get fired.
Another thing is maintain those motherfucking boundaries. And when I say boundaries, I don't mean the rigid ones that hurt you and that hurt me. My dad's boundary when I first got sober was no. That's it. Because I'm not gonna stress. He wasn't gonna stress himself out explaining to me. Yeah. No is a full sentence.
Right. I don't have
you know
to
what I'm saying?
You why.
That's what I'm saying. But it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt
at the
me.
end of them.
That's what your parents always tell you though. No. Like, I ain't gotta tell you why. Like, no.
And that's the thing. Like, so it's like if it's hurting you, what do you do? And it could send you flying. Let me tell you.
I'm still racked on that one. I haven't figured it out. Yeah, I don't know what to do. The compassion,
the prayer, the empathy, and also the community helps me with everything. Whether it's my business, whether it's me being in a community sober, having that communication, and then also having those boundaries. Like I cannot be witness to this. I cannot bear witness to you destroying yourself because. I'll tell you one thing. I was the most selfish motherfucker when I was drinking and using because I really thought it only affected me.
Yeah,
it affects everything around you. It's the opposite of the Midas touch. Whatever you touch does not turn to gold, turns to shit.
And everybody that feels a certain way, it hurts.
And it goes without being said. And if you have the type of relationship where you could take somebody to the side and say, "Are you okay?" and I'm concerned about you without them blowing up. God bless y'all, because that a lot of us don't have that. We really, really don't.
It's from the people that really care.
And I was around people too.
And just like you said though, how you felt seeing dude on the bus, and that was just somebody you knew. Yeah. Just off of like just outside. Yeah. But imagine those family members that see you, and it's like, my nigga, like it is.
His dad was, I think, a famous author or musician.
And it's always like that. It's always like, and I went through, I'll just say, just with one of my recent breakups, and the person was kind of on some shit. And it does make you feel like, nigga, like the shit that hurt the most, it wasn't that we broke up or whatever. It's, I feel like the person that I met and that I was fucking with that I really liked, that person is like, gone, and it's like another person, but it's like I still see that person, that little glimpses, and that's why you stay, and you be like, man, you be like, hey,
you have hope.
You have hope because you still see what you know, and then while the other person is gradually kind of taking over. And it's like, and I started saying that, and then it got to the point to where you
can't be around in that anymore.
And it was like, I was like feeling fucked up, so I'm like, I'm cool.
The faith comes in them starting to take actions towards, like, because we can clean up real quick for court, we can clean up real quick while we are in jail for 7 days. But it's like, it's one thing to get sober, it's another thing to stay sober, and they have to want it.
And like
and
another thing, for you.
And you have to want it for you. You can't do it for a job. You can't do it for money. You can't even do it for your kids.
Your dude or your girl.
You can't even do it for your kids. Because there's people that have wonderful children that you would never know came from a parent of alcoholic.
Exactly.
You would have no idea. And it's like, another thing is that person's safe to approach to talk about it, because there's a saying that, when I said, how can we determine if somebody's alcoholic or not? I was taught that
we only know if somebody's alcoholic or an addict if they tell us, which is strange, which sounds really ass backwards, right? But think about it. We can create a solution once we find out what the problem is. And if I don't believe in a problem, then therefore the problem does not exist. That's it. And what I did was, when I was doing what I was doing for 5 years, I found other people that thought and believed that the problem does not exist. That's why I say it's centered on thinking, because the mind is very powerful. Yeah. We're manifesting shit that doesn't even exist yet physically. It's just like
rendering.
There you go. Yeah. And it's just bottom rung. I could be the king of the roaches, and I wouldn't know a damn difference.
Not the roaches.
I wouldn't know the damn difference. All I know is that I'm sitting on my pile of dirt. On my throne.
That's what they said about Trump. Like, he would burn everything and be king of a pile of ashes, and he would be happy.
Because you wouldn't know the difference.
Because he would be happy just that he's king, even if it's of a pile of ashes.
Right. And if for anything that we want to do, though, these principles and these disciplines are the same. Like, if somebody wants a successful business, if somebody wants to reach some place in their spirituality, if somebody wants to reach a place in their athleticism, you have to do the same thing. It's all the same.
Yep.
Daily discipline and small actions towards the larger goal. It's not different for anything else I've ever done. So me being sober and having a program of recovery has parlayed into so many areas of my life, And once I got sober, some people say trade one addiction for another, which I do not believe. I think that's horrible to say to people. I didn't trade one addiction for another, because addictions destroy. Yeah. I have things that I hyper focus on. I have things that I obsess about. I have my hobbies, but I don't trade one addiction for another. I did not get into vaping. I didn't start selling. Some people get sober and start selling drugs.
Yeah. I'm saying,
some people get sober.
People start smoking cigarettes.
Yeah, it's crazy, because some people believe that. Some people start overeating, which I understand.
Just
like to a point of crazy.
I've seen that a lot with
this is past the withdrawal period. They'll form their personality around some people. I've seen people get sober and became Mr. and Mrs. Rehab. You know how many rehab babies there are? It's crazy. Now, no shade if you found, that's love your business, but like I couldn't have my personality wrap around my recovery.
And that's
you know
all
what I'm saying? I'm sober. If somebody wants to know what I did, how I got there, and wants to, be with me on this journey, because I don't do things for people anymore. I do things with people, because I'll fall short. I've had that happen. I've heard horror, like people pulling knives on other people because they started relapsing and drinking again, like all types of shit. Yeah. And I don't do that. But I will say, all right, let's go. Because it was given freely to me, so why shouldn't I give it freely back? Yeah. Right. And that's how I became, doing what I do for the community work. That's how I came to just being as generous as I am.
And she's hella generous, y'all. I will say that first and foremost.
Ask for days.
Because she gave me that hummingbird sage. That shit was fire. I just finished that.
And if you need to find more of that,
I need some more of that hummingbird
y'all
sage.
Need to find that. Let them know where they can find you at, Taylor. Thank you so much for coming.
Oh, yeah, thank you for having me.
You're always so great.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
We've done...
This felt like a 60 minutes.
This is the first on Innovative Comedy, but this is not our first time meeting or having a conversation.
Thank you.
And it's always amazing. So you guys... make sure you follow Taylor and see what she's all about. And yeah, Taylor, let them know where they can follow you at.
Oh yeah, so I do have my own podcast. I messed around and became a gardener. I did. So the Plant Plug is my gardening business, and then also
I didn't want to say it. I was waiting for her to say
thank you. I appreciate it. Also, I ended up getting into bodybuilding, so I teach people about herbs and supplements, which we talked a lot about, and vitamins, and then just doing.
Wait, so you're about to be a bodybuilder?
Not professionally. I'm just gonna become a personal trainer.
Okay.
I want to get my certificate and do things legit. Like, hey, being square is where it's at.
Yeah.
Let me tell you,
it is.
Being square is really where it's at.
That's
and I didn't know that.
About
I don't believe
my spirituality.
Those lies.
Yeah.
I believed so many lies back then about how I was supposed to act. And,
right.
But yeah, Plant Plug podcast, Plant Plug LA. You can Google me, please. Ignore the mugshots, and but just to show, like, but
that's real life.
I'm still trying to find mine.
Testimony right here.
The sheriffs have them, and also every state's different. So California's harder to find, but Arizona, they will put your stuff on blast.
I'm trying to find my two. I got two. I'm trying to find both of them.
Yeah, and also I just want to tell people that recovery is possible.
Yeah.
It's never too late to get sober. It's okay to ask for help. You can meet a lot of cool, amazing people, and the coolest and most amazing person you can meet in this journey is yourself.
Right.
So I definitely took it one day at a time, but it took what it took for me to get okay, for me to be another functioning member of society without feeling like the world owed me anything.
Yeah.
Because me feeling sorry for myself just the ones that are going to get me anywhere as far as just being able to be of help to other people. I can't help you if I'm down bad all the time, but it's another thing if I'm down bad because I keep putting myself down there.
Because you're just in that zone.
Yeah,
and
so,
that's where you dwell.
Yeah.
So
give yourself the chance.
Yeah.
You're worth it. Give yourself the chance. You are absolutely worth it. And yes. No, that's all I got.
No, well, thank you so much, Taylor. This whole episode makes me trying to kind of reconsider my outgoing message, but
what is it?
Stay addicted.
Oh, I remember what it is.
Yeah, stay addicted to your daily dose of China White, because my name is technically the purest form of heroin.
I heard it before, and I was like, is she really saying that?
Yeah, because that's my real government
No,
name.
I understand.
My father named me after her.
I understand. Is he from the Ice Boy era?
He didn't know what it was.
Was he an Ice Boy back then?
No, but he didn't know what it was. In his defense, my parents were young, and I was they didn't name me till I was born. So then they named me, and my grandfather was like, son, do you know what you just did to your child? In high school, I went by my middle name because I went to a predominantly white school, and my dad was like, I don't want you going by China White because everyone's gonna know what it is. And literally, no offense, but it is mostly white people that know what my name is.
People had doses of you over what the option. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
Over the ladder.
I'm a good drug. I'm a good drug to overdose on. Okay.
Oh boy.
Addicted and overdose.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
But yeah, guys, follow me on Instagram at the China White. And once again, shout out to my company, Elite Enterprises. We do it all. You feel me? If you feel like you want a sober as fuck jacket, I can make one of those.
Please put these back on the streets.
Okay, I got you. I could make it however you want it to look.
They were high. All those yacht rock guys were loaded, boy.
Hey, you know what video? We're going to get out of it. What video I just watched? Dennis Edwards.
I'm going to let you finish
with the twisty mouth. And the whole video is like, he's like, and I didn't know, I've seen that as a kid, and I just watched it like, but it's Tony Grams. Follow me on IG at Tony Grams, TONY_GRAMS, and I'll follow you back.
I'm cool as Cam, the coolest motherfucker on the planet, and I gotta go to the bathroom, so we out.
Thank you.
Innovative.